for a while now, and we know you're going to love hearing their story. It's an absolutely incredible story, and we are so very lucky that they choose to come and share it with us. So without further ado, please everyone welcome up the James family.
Wow, it's gotten bigger this year. This is our 5th year. Our miracle kid, Ricky, is in heaven watching over us today. 2009, we got invited to join the Miracle family, and it was an incredible honor. We didn't know what to expect, and every year we are more and more inspired. Let me introduce us first. This is my husband, Rick. Aaron, which I'm pretty sure most of you have already gotten to know, and I'm Shelley. In 2009, when we were invited, Ricky was already battling his 3rd episode of rhabdomyosarcoma, and I'll start from the beginning. Let me tell you first, last year was very emotional for us. This is our 5th year, so all the students that graduated last year were the ones that actually physically knew Ricky. Y'all are just knowing his story. So this year's a little emotional on that side too. In 2007, on April Fool's Day, Ricky was constipated. So after a trip to the local hospital, which didn't amount to much, we ended up at Scottish Rite. And within 20 minutes of our arrival, they had drained 300 cc's of urine off of his little 22-month-old body. And within 3 hours, we were informed that our son did not have a quarter blocking him. He, in fact, had a tumor. He had a 5.1 centimeter tumor blocking his rectum. We immediately began chemo within 3 days. We were admitted to the Aflac floor, which at the time was up in one of the standard rooms, real tiny. I was 4.5 months pregnant with Erin, so she has been through this battle from the very beginning. Ricky was in the hospital for 12 days the first time. We started chemo within 3 days. His first battle with rhabdomyo, which I'm going to say rhabdo because it's so much easier. His first battle was 52 weeks of chemo and radiation. He had 28 days of 50-grade radiation. And I'm going to just stop myself for a minute. This is our video from Ricky's memorial service. It just shows a lot of highlights of Ricky's character and a lot of our family memories, and she's going to be playing in the background. So Ricky went through his chemo, he went through his radiation, 28 days of 50-grade radiation. The chemo that Ricky took was adult strength because rhabdo is extremely rare. It affects 350 to 400 children in the world. We got the lottery. She wants Ricky to watch the video. So Ricky never complained throughout his entire battle. Remember, he was 22 months old when this first started. Watched a lot of movies. At that stage, most kids like to watch the same movie over and over. I can almost give you verbatim every word from the movie Cars. And Happy Feet. We then, so he went through his first battle. He beat it. I mean, before he even went into his radiation, he had a 75% reduction in the size of his tumor. And by the end, he had 0 evidence. So they declared us NED, which stands for no evidence of disease, and we thought we were done. We weren't. Within 2 months, before Ricky was even scheduled for his first follow-up scan, he started to exhibit the exact same symptoms. So we went back to, we were still under care. We went back to Scottish Rite, they moved up his scan, and sure enough, the tumor was back at the same exact location, except this time it was also attached to his bladder. Initially, it was just his prostate. So this is 2008 now. In September of 2008, we went on our wonderful Make-A-Wish trip to Disney. And when we got home a week later, Ricky went into the hospital. We had an 8-hour surgery where he had his bladder, his prostate, his transverse colon, his portion of his urethra, all the surrounding lymph nodes removed. He had the colon was used to create a conduit, and he had a stoma and had a bag attached to his side for his urine. Ricky did not care. That was just part of what he was going through. He had to get shots every day. Never fazed him. He didn't like it. He yelled at you and cried the whole time, but he always said thank you in the end. The nurses absolutely loved him. They used to fight over who would get him. He had his favorites, who always got him, but he was a hit at the hospital. He just was a happy child. If it wasn't for his bald little head, you wouldn't really know that he was sick because he had more energy, well, this kind of energy. It was exhausting, but it was wonderful at the same time. We were fortunate being at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta at Scottish Rite in that they recognized the importance of family, and they enabled us to stay together as a family. Erin was born in August of 2007, so from the time she was 3 weeks old, she stayed at the hospital with us for every admission. During Ricky's first battle, we weren't inpatient that often, but his second battle, after his surgery, for 4 months, we were home less than 20 days. Ricky did not experience the typical symptoms of a child on chemo. We didn't have the vomiting and the nausea. We didn't have the hair loss, but he was so cute with his bald little head. He looked like Charlie Brown. And he had a pair of pajamas that were like Charlie Brown stripes. They were awesome. So, you know, we were blessed in that respect, but Ricky would always become neutropenic, which means he had no immune system. And we literally stopped even bothering to come home after a discharge from chemo because within 8 hours we would have a high fever and be readmitted. So we had boxes of toys for the hospital, and we basically lived there. We had changes of clothes. We'd go home and switch them out to do laundry. Did laundry at the hospital a lot. But we were able to be there as a family, and she grew up there learning pretty much everything we could do. One of her favorite stories that I tell at the hospital is Ricky taught, when she started walking, Ricky taught her with a big silver button by the doorman, and that was the escape button. So Erin used to hit the escape button and wander through the hospital. You know, you spend a lot of time at the hospital when security doesn't even need to question who the child is and know exactly where to bring her back. It's like, it's quite a distance from the AFLAB unit to the front of the hospital, and Erin used to wander to the front lobby to look at the fish wall. And security would bring her back often. Another favorite pastime of both her and Ricky was to do their charts up at the nurse's station. So I would get, and I worked at the hospital while I was there, and I'd get a phone call from the nurses saying, Erin's here. Okay. Where's Ricky? He's here too. We're good. So we were in and out of the hospital for a good bit the first 2.5 years, mostly in the second battle. We got through that, and Ricky was not eligible for radiation, hence the surgery. Got through that, and we were again declared NED. Life was good. We got our hair back. We enrolled in preschool. We started living a normal life that you would expect with young children. And at that time, we went for our 6-month scans. And that's when our world was turned upside down. Ricky actually still had cancer. It was in his lungs. And rhabdo is very aggressive cell-based cancer. It does not need another cell to multiply, but it doesn't show until there's multiple cells combined. So we had a couple lesions on our lungs. We went back for scans, and Ricky, it was taking over very rapidly, and we pretty much knew what we were up against, and we knew that the odds were against us. So we didn't go through any invasive procedures. We decided the most important thing in our life was to live, love, laugh, and make memories, which became our family motto. We did a lot. And that was about the time that we got involved with UGA Miracle. We got to go to Gladiators games, which one of my favorite family pictures was taken on the ice with UGA Miracle and the mascot at the Gladiators, which I don't know what his name is, and it really didn't matter. It was just an awesome picture. So we did a lot of fun things. That was, Ricky, they didn't know what type of amount of time we had left. So we did a preventative chemo, palliative care is what they call it, to basically keep the cancer at bay as long as we possibly could. And Rick and I had agreed that we were going to keep living, and as long as the chemo wasn't preventing us from having our Ricky as our Ricky was, which was just a bundle of energy, a wonderful child who never complained, never asked why, never fought what he was dealing with, because that's what he was handed. He approached it with humor and amazing spirit and style. He's just a great all-around person. So in February of 2010, we got to come and attend our first Dance Miracle. And I still see Ricky running back. Well, at the time, there were 2 bounce houses up, and I still see Ricky running back and forth between the 2, followed closely by this one. And we had the same family partner for 4 years that we were here, and I'm so blessed that you came back today. Thank you. And she can attest that it was exhausting. So we came here, had a wonderful time, and Rick and I have spoken many times about that first year, and every year after when we leave, how inspiring it is to us what you're doing. You're giving up so much of yourselves, your time, your energy, for something that most of you, I pray to God, never really know much about. But it's just so selfless of you, and it's so appreciated by the families. Because of what you're doing, families like us were able to stay together while we were in the hospital. Our children are able to still live and be children in spite of the horrible obstacles that many of them are facing. So it's a tremendous honor for us to be here, and very humbling and inspiring for us to see you guys at your age not really knowing what you're going up against, or not ever hopefully being touched by what we've all dealt with, and giving of yourself. So I applaud you and thank you very much for doing it. 3 months to the day of our event here at the Dance Marathon for the first time, Ricky earned his angel wings with Rick and I and Aaron by his side. It was a very hard day, but we were prepared for it, and we gave him permission to let us go. We were more worried about her and us than him, because we knew he was going to be in a healthier place. Not a better place. I know others may disagree with me, but he was my child. 8 days before he turned 5, he should have still been home with me. But Ricky lived a really good life, and he made a hell of an impact at the time that he was here, which Brian will be up to tell you about the kind of impact you guys have honored us and humbled us in honoring him. Excuse me, I think somebody really needs to say something.
And he also taught me to dance.
He was the best big brother. That picture was actually taken on our way home from the hospital the very first time that he was diagnosed. But it's been an experience for us coming back here every year, sharing our story. It's not an easy one to hear, and it's definitely not an easy one to tell. But we thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to share Ricky with you. We thank you more than you can imagine for being here and doing what you're doing, and just please keep doing it, keep giving. FTK always. L3M2, live, love, laugh, make memories, make the most out of life, enjoy it, and thank God for what you have. Oh, there's my picture. Thank you guys very much.